Okay, page 4 of lines. Number 2, a town website advertises summer jobs for students. A student is trying to decide between a job as a city guide and a job as a job at the flower shop. The job as a city guide pays $40 per day plus a monthly Metro card with a $120 value. The job at the flower shop pays $60 a day. Compare the payments for the two jobs. Complete the table below. Okay, so this is just it's kind of useful to make a table like this even if they didn't ask you to. It helps you establish the equation for the line. So for the city guide, you get $120 for the Metro card, and you get $40 a day. So for 1 day worked, you get 120 plus 40. And if you work 5 days, it would be 120 plus 5 times 40, which would be 200, right? Which would be 320. And then for 10 days work, that would be 10 times 40, which is 400, plus 120, which is 520. Okay, and then what about for the flower shop? For the flower shop, you don't get a Metro card or anything like that. You just get paid per day, $60 a day. So it would be $60 for 1 day, and it would be 60 times 5, or 300 for 5 days, and it would be 60 times 10, or 600 for 10 days. Okay. Draw the lines representing the payments for each job on the same pair of axes where X is the number of days worked and Y is the payment in dollars. Okay, so let's say that the x-axis is days worked and the y-axis is the payment in dollars. And since the y-axis scale has to go up to like 600, I'm going to use each unit to be 100. So it'd be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Okay? So the red line would start at 1, 60. Notice that's 1, 160, and it's not 0, 160. And 5, 320, and 10, 520. Okay, and then the blue line would be 1, 60, and 5, 300, and 10, 600. Okay, these are straight lines, although maybe you can't tell from my lines. Should draw that with a ruler if you're drawing it with a pencil. Okay, so we drew the lines, and then it says, explain how the students should decide which job to take based on the number of days they plan to work during the month. So if they have a smaller number of days, a lower number of days, then they should choose the city guide job. And if they have a higher number of days, then they should choose the flower shop. Because if they choose the flower shop, then they can get up to $600 at the end, whereas the other job only pays up to $520, right? And there's obviously a certain point where the blue line starts being higher than the red line, which is around here. Since I didn't draw it very well, you can't really tell where that point is. But later we're going to find out how to use the calculator to find that intersection point, okay? And they didn't really say to find that point, and so I'm not going to find it here. But here you could find it by extending this table out, right? We can see that happens somewhere between like 6 and 8. So if we put like 6, 7, 8 number of days worked, then we would probably find pretty close to how many days when it would start compensating being a flower shop instead of city guide, etc. Okay? All right, number 3. U.S. roof regulations state that the asphalt tiles can only be used for roofs with a maximum gradient of 0.17. The roof shown in the diagram has width 7 and rise 1.6. Find the roof run and the roof gradient. Okay, so I'm just going to label the dimensions here. So it says that the roof shown has a width of 7. So I'm assuming that that would be this entire length here. This is 7. And then the rise is 1.6. So this would be 1.6. And then it says to find the gradient to see if it is greater than 0.17. And so you have to be careful here, because you can see that if we want to find out the gradient of this roof, we shouldn't consider the entire structure of the roof. We should only consider this half here, because we only want like one of these triangles, right? And so if we redrew this triangle here, the roof run is actually half of 7. It's not 7. It would be 3.5, right? And the roof gradient would be 1.6, which is the rise, divided by the run, which is 3.5, right? And then we should see what that is to know what the roof gradient is. Let's do that. So 1.6 divided by 3.5. So it's 0.457. Okay, so 0.457 is much greater than 0.17, right? So, and then it says determine whether the roof satisfies the requirement. Does not. And then justify your conclusion, because the slope is 0.457, which is greater than 0.17. Okay? All right, that's it for this page.